You're listening to Flip Empire, the show committed to helping real estate entrepreneurs who want to build their empire without sacrificing their life. Your success and freedom starts now with your host, Alex Pardo.
Hey there, Alex Pardo. I'm super pumped to record episode 597 on the Flip Empire show as we approach 600 episodes. About almost 6 years I have been hosting this podcast, which just blows my mind. Cannot even believe it. And on today's podcast, I want to talk to you about my experience at Super Bowl 56. But before we do that, if you are new to the show, welcome to the Flip Empire show. Again, my name is Alex Pardo. I've been an active full-time real estate investor since 2005. Really, first 15, 16 years of my career were focused on single family investments, everything from wholesaling and lease options, seller finance, and everything in between. And recently, as of the last year and a half, 2 years, I've transitioned into self-storage. Now own a 43,000 square foot facility in Mississippi and actively looking for more storage. Have a few rental properties and do some other things in real estate. Obviously host this podcast. And then my good friend Steve Kavanaugh and I run high-level mastermind for entrepreneurs called Ascend, which you can find out more at ascendyoursuccess.com. So now that we got that housekeeping out of the way, I thought I'd come back and just share with you some experiences. Or I want to talk to you more about the experience at the Super Bowl, but I want you to understand that this isn't about me. Really, the message I'm hoping to deliver on this podcast is that whatever experience you might want to have, you can have it. Whatever it is that you want to do, places you want to visit, anything that you can conceive of in your mind, you can have it. But there's a couple things you need to do first before that can become a reality. Because I can tell you, if these things don't happen first, your chances of actually attaining that experience, going to that place, having whatever it is you want, whether it's material in nature or whether it's an experience like we're talking about, are far less likely of happening. And so I want to talk to you about that. But, I thought it would be interesting to kind of center the conversation in this podcast around my experience at Super Bowl 56. My wife and I just got back yesterday from Los Angeles. If you haven't listened to some of the previous episodes or if we're not friends on Facebook, side note, I encourage you, let's connect on Facebook, on Instagram, and social media. I'm also building up and adding more content on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Alex Pardo. Shameless plug there, but I definitely want to encourage you to go there because there's some content that I'm going to be putting out there as well in addition to the podcast. But if you didn't know, I've been almost a lifelong Bengals fan since I was a kid, 4 years old. Kind of a long story. I've been asked the question why, being that I'm born and raised in Miami, and it's a fair question. I probably answered it, about a zillion times. And I won't get into that on this episode, but when the Bengals beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, 2 to 3 weeks ago at this point, that night I bought tickets, and the tickets were very, very expensive. Now I would have been wise to wait because come to find out, the tickets actually went down in price, and so I ended up paying more than I had to. But the truth is, I didn't care, and the reason I didn't care is twofold. Number one, it could have gone the other way, right? Where the tickets could have gone up in price and, now I would have had to pay more money, or maybe they were sold out. Who knows, right? But the other reason I didn't care was because it was a bucket list item for me. It was an experience that could be once in a lifetime. This isn't going to the Super Bowl to watch your favorite team is not like going to Bora Bora or the Maldives or Dubai or somewhere you've ever wanted to travel to, because those places aren't going anywhere. Provided that you're healthy and you're alive, and you have the means, you can get there. But to see your favorite team in a Super Bowl, that's outside of your control, right? Like if the Bengals never make it to a Super Bowl, I probably won't go to a Super Bowl, right? And so when they won, I told my wife, I said, yes, it's a lot of money, but it's an experience and it's memories that we'll cherish for a lifetime and we'll always have. And I'm so glad I did it, despite the fact that it was a heartbreak loss. And, if you're listening to this, you may or may not have seen the Super Bowl, there was, well, I think over 100 million people that watched the Super Bowl. So chances are you saw it, or at least maybe caught the halftime show. It was an amazing game. If we're friends on Facebook or social media, check out some of the videos and pictures. But despite the heartbreak loss, and it was a tough one, trust me, it was something I'll always have with me. We had so much fun. Just not only did we go to watch the game, but we made a trip out of it. We went to Manhattan Beach and Malibu and Venice Beach, and we were able to kind of dine in some restaurants we've been wanting to check out there, and going out there and kind of tailgating with other Bengals fans, meeting new people. It was just such a cool, surreal experience. The energy, the halftime show, the vibe, just everything about it was incredible. I mean, we just had such an amazing experience, minus the fact that my team lost. But even with that, it was still a special trip. It was memories that we'll have forever. They were unforgettable. They were incredible. I mean, I can give you so many adjectives to explain just what an awesome trip it was. And this is where you come into the picture. You might not be a football fan. If you're listening to this, you're probably not a Bengals fan. You might not care about sports, and that's perfectly fine. Whatever it is you're into, whatever it is that you feel compelled to do, maybe it's a dream, maybe it's somewhere you've wanted to go, maybe it's someone you've wanted to meet, maybe it's something you've wanted to do, right? I've talked to so many friends that were inspired by the fact that I actually, paid that much money to go to the Super Bowl, because they've been thinking about doing something similar, whether it's the World Cup or whether it's to go to some sort of event, a concert. They want to take their kids somewhere. Whatever it is that you want to do, here's the first thing that needs to happen. Number one, you need to visualize it. You need to see it in your mind's eye. You need to picture yourself there. The second thing you need to do is put it on your calendar. Now, I understand that obviously there's some things, like in my case, the Bengals going to another Super Bowl, is outside of my control. Having said that, I already know that Super Bowl 57 is February 13th of 2023. And I told my wife, if I'm fortunate enough that my team makes it again, God willing, we're going. And this time we'll go with an even more first-class experience and get even better seats and try to do the whole VIP package, because it was that cool of an experience. So the first couple things I really want to share with you is, number one, you have to believe it. You have to believe it's possible. Number two, you need to put it in your calendar. There is something so powerful about writing something down, putting it in a calendar. It makes it real. And it really makes it real when you can believe it. Now, you might be in a position, you might say to yourself, I don't have the money to go travel the world, as an example that just came to mind. Let's say you've been wanting to travel the world. You've been wanting to travel for 6 months out of the year, 12 months out of the year. You want to visit you want to hop in an RV and, stay in every state in the United States. Whatever it is you want to do, it doesn't matter. You want to go motorcycle riding across the country. It doesn't matter what you want to do. It's possible, but first you have to see it, you have to believe it, and you got to put it in your calendar. And even if you find yourself in a position where you just don't know how you can do it, it doesn't matter. You need to ask who, not what, and not how. Ask who. Start with asking who. And then you might not understand how to accomplish steps 4, 5, and 6, but all you got to do is figure out step 1. What's the first thing that you can do? What's the first action you can take that gets you moving in the direction of whatever it is you want, right? So, if you've listened to the show, or if you've heard me talk about, my family and I, we love to travel. Travel's an important thing for us. So one of the things we do towards the end of every year is we try to map out our entire travel schedule for the following year. Right. And we put that on a calendar. In some cases, we actually put a deposit down, or make a reservation, or do something that crystallizes it. It makes it real. And then we just make it happen. Right. I share this at the risk of sounding coming across overly confident or cocky or anything like that. If you know me, you know that that's not me. Right. But I don't share this to kind of what's the word I'm looking for? To flex, right? That's the word everybody uses now. I'm not using this to flex, but we have I think by most people's standards, a fairly large travel budget, but because it's important to us, having those experiences, having those memories, having those videos, those pictures, those moments that I can just kind of go back into my memory bank, or I can see a picture and I can instantly smile or laugh. Sometimes my daughters grab my phone, and one of the first things they want to do, aside from YouTube Kids, but that's a whole other conversation, aside from that, is they want to look at pictures from our trips. And I can have a conversation, or you can have a conversation about my 6-year-old about Greece. And that's really cool to be able to be in a position to give those experiences to my family. That's really important to me. And it's really important to my wife and I. So whatever that is for you, whether it's a sports event, whether it's a concert, whether it's backstage passes somewhere, whether it's travel, maybe it's, maybe it's Rich Aqua, one of our Ascend members, just amazing. He and his wife have some of the biggest hearts I've ever seen. They run a nonprofit called Generosity Global, and they give homeless water. They've provided homeless water. They've provided water to the needy and to the homeless in Africa, thousands of people. Maybe you want to go on a missionary trip. Maybe you want to do something like that. You want to start a nonprofit. You want to start a business. Whatever it is you want to do. I could be here for hours and hours just coming up with ideas. Maybe it's a podcast you've been wanting to launch, a YouTube show you've wanted to start. You've wanted to speak on a stage where your favorite influencer, guru, speaker, educator, or whatever speaks at. Whatever it is, see it in your mind's eye. Believe it's possible. Put it on a calendar. So let's say it's an event you want to speak at. Find out when the next event is and actually put it on the calendar that you're going to be speaking at that event. Write it down as a goal, and then figure out what's the first thing I can do to make this a reality. And it could be the first step. It could be place a phone call. It could be send an email. It could be talk to X person. Whatever it is, just figure out what's the first step you can take. And then once you actually accomplish that first step, figure out what's the next step you can take. And that's how you start to eat that elephant, right? It's not, you don't swallow the whole thing at once. It's just that one bite at a time type of approach, right? So that's what I want to share with you. I'm so grateful and fortunate that, God's put us in a position to be able to experience some of the things we've been wanting to do. Look, I'll share with you one of the things I told my wife is I want to charter a big yacht, like a big yacht. And I want to go around the BVIs, the British Virgin Islands, for at least a week, possibly 2. And I want to bring my family and maybe even some friends along. And we want to just experience that. I'm talking about a yacht with like a chef and a crew and the whole nine, where like everything's taken care of for us, and we can just go on this yacht to different islands. That's an experience that we want to have. And so I'm going to challenge myself, because we were on the flight and we were talking about it, but that has yet to hit my calendar. And the very first thing I'm going to do when I get off this podcast is I'm going to put it on the calendar. And the date might change. That's not what's important. What's important is that I can see it. I can feel it. I can experience it, because on my birthday in Greece, that's what we did. We chartered a 55-foot yacht for my birthday. And we had lunch provided for us, dinner provided for us. We went to different islands. I mean, it was just an amazing, amazing experience. So I can see, feel, and touch what that's like. But even if I hadn't had that experience, I could still see it in my mind's eye, and I can believe that I can make that possible, despite how much money it's going to cost. And it'll be expensive, but it'll be so worth it for us. Next thing I have to do is I have to put it on the calendar. And that's what I'm hoping you take away from this podcast episode. So write down, make this fun. If you have a significant other, husband, wife, whatever, go out and make it a fun date night. Hey, what are the things that we want to experience? What are the things we want to do? What are the things we want to have? On that topic, when I was younger, it was more about things. It was more about the Lamborghini. It was more about the Rolex. It was more about like certain things I want to have. And I still want some of those things. They're far less important to me now. The older I get, now that I have kids, I realize that the shine on those things wears off. The new car smell is only going to last so long. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't have those things. There's nothing wrong with that. If you really want a Lamborghini or a Rolls or a Rolex or, $5,000 sneakers, whatever it is, go make it happen. Just make sure that your assets are paying for it and you're not, incurring liabilities. You're not putting this stuff on a credit card, right? But that's a whole other conversation. But there's nothing wrong with the material things. You can have both. You can have experiences and material things. But what do you place more of a value on? And then prioritize that. Okay, that's really the message I want to share with you. So hopefully you get a lot from this episode. If you haven't listened to the previous episode, I really want to encourage you. Episode 596, talk about the invisible ceiling and something that you might not even be aware of that is money that's just waiting there for you. Hope you enjoyed that episode. But before you go, I've had a lot of people recently reach out to me wanting to learn more about Ascend, wanting to understand how the mastermind component works, how the coaching relationship works. And so right now we're actually on a waiting list. But what I would encourage you to do is if you think you're the right fit and you think you could benefit from being a part of our community, head over to ascendyoursuccess.com, watch the short video, and then just click the apply to join button below. And then we'll be in contact with you if and when a spot opens up. So really appreciate you listening to Flip Empire here. And I look forward to connecting with you on the next show. Take care.